mile to make sure that we make it happen, I think that we're going to do well. So thank you, Lisa, for opening up this opportunity. As Lisa said, I am April Fortune. I serve as one of the regional task force ambassadors for social equity within Keller Williams, and I'm excited about that. And as a result, I am going to share everything that Gary Keller is wanting Keller Williams to do to be able to make Keller Williams a more diverse organization. But he doesn't want it just to be for Keller Williams. He wants us to be within our communities, because the communities that we serve, if we're not able to reach everybody and connect with everybody, then we're limiting ourselves and we're limiting our communities, and we're doing a disservice to our communities. So with that being said, this is going to be a very informal meeting. So please, everybody in the room, I'm sorry, I got my backs to you all, but it's a very informal meeting. If you have any specific questions that you want to have addressed, please feel free to do so. I don't know what everybody's purpose for being here. I don't know if some of you are willing to be on the committee, or if some of you are just here for information, whatever the reasons are. But I just pray that once we're done today, that you'll go away with something that you can move forward with. So,
and maybe the one thing that as a market center as a whole that we would like to start working on.
So that's going to be our target, Lisa. Thank you.
You're
Our
right.
target will be what is going to be our one thing that we will start on today for our market center. So we do have a list of questions and there's a couple of them that I want to throw out there just for conversation. So please, as I throw them out, I need feedback. We need feedback. It's not just me, but we need feedback so that we can know how we need to move forward with our office, because each market center is different. Each market center, our makeups are different and our needs are different. So we want to know what it is that Market 782 needs. So, one of the questions that I want to throw out is, do you feel comfortable talking to your market center leadership if you have an interaction with another agent that makes you feel comfortable or uncomfortable or offended? So how do you feel comfortable, and you may, even if you're not comfortable answering that now, but that is a question to think about. Do you feel comfortable talking with our market center's leadership if you have a situation between you and another agent within the market center? You know, I don't know if anybody wants to share.
Volume on our end. You might have to kind of
Can you all not hear me?
And talk just to make sure they can hear you. Sorry. I'm gonna kind of type to what you're saying.
Can you all hear me better now? Great. Okay, so my question, the first question that I'm throwing out is, do you feel comfortable talking to your market center leadership if you have an inaction or interaction with another agent that makes you feel uncomfortable or offended? So I don't know if anybody's comfortable sharing how you feel right now. If you are, then please share. If you're not, that is something that you need to think about, because if you're not, then we need to address why not and what can be done to make you more comfortable. Anybody want to share?
And here too.
Yes.
Even though her back is turned.
And don't be offended by the leadership that's
That's right.
Yeah. That's what we're trying to break down. We're trying to break down any barriers.
We really want to know. And too, really what everybody felt, maybe even starting it off that way, what everybody felt about when Gary Keller sent out his email, right?
Yeah. Okay, so then let's back up to that.
How does everybody feel about the
what was your initial reactions when you read Gary Keller's email that he sent out about starting this task force in the first place, and why he thought we needed to start it?
I felt like I was really glad that I'm part of Keller Williams, honestly. Having an African-American significant other and a half African-American child, racism is a big deal, and we've faced it as an interracial couple. And hearing that from Gary Keller and even Lisa, Lisa's gone above and beyond to try to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and to be very inclusive. And I think that does say a lot about our market center. But yeah, I felt really strongly and really good about being part of Keller Williams, that Gary Keller came out first thing. There was no hesitation on his part to come out and say, hey, we're not going to stand for this. That's not what Keller Williams is about.
Thank you, Sarah. Anybody else? Want to share, anybody in the room? And I guess for the sake of those newer people that have seen the email, it might be a good thing for us to share it with them, to send, maybe we can send it to them.
Yeah, or we can share it on the page.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
And, you know, I know for a lot of people, this could be uncomfortable, and that's okay. That's, you know, we're here. So I want everyone to feel comfortable being uncomfortable, I guess, and having conversations around that.
So I see unmuted, I see a couple of people unmuted. Did you have something to say?
And Juliet's unmuted.
And Regina?
I wanted to say that I was very grateful when I read his the letter. Like Sarah, he was, I don't know if he was the very first or one, you know, amongst the first, or probably one of the only, you know, leaders of a major realty company to come out and make a public statement. I was very comforted by it. And it was a rough time when that letter came out because people didn't know what to say. I didn't want to say anything actually because it was just that whole period of time for me was just so difficult and so hard, and there were so many emotions just rolling around, and anything that anyone said, you know, was being twisted and misconstrued and misunderstood. But his letter was just so gracious, and it was so, you could, you know, I felt as though I could feel just his concern and his, you know, just, and I know it just wasn't him. I'm sure that the leaders and different people got together to put the letter together. But at the same time, we just felt, we felt included, we felt concern from him, and we felt his compassion for us and his empathy in putting that letter out. And does that answer that? I don't know. What was the question again?
No, you're fine. That's what we want, is you would express your feelings about, especially how the when the initial email came out. So that's fine.
Yeah, that letter just gave me it just gave me comfort that that letter was put out. I was comforted by it.
Thank you, Julia. Regina Campbell, were you unmuted to share? Okay.
Well, for me, hello. Well, for me, it kind of made me feel understood. You know, I feel like it's one thing to be able to support your minority employees or workers privately, but to be able to stand out publicly and say, this is what we stand for, this is what we will not tolerate, and that we stand behind our people. And as well from my family who celebrates Juneteenth, to be able to acknowledge that as an official, you know, holiday, it was a good moment for me.
Thank you, Joy. And just a little bit more background for our newer people. Gary Keller sent out an email right after the George Floyd incident, and there was so much turmoil and angst, and he made it clear that racial injustice was not going to be tolerated with Keller Williams from the top down. He even let go of some people within his organization who were not in agreement with him or who were not on the same page as him. So he's very serious about it. He's formed this task force nationwide, and he wants every market center to make sure that they are under the same guidelines as, you know, that he set out for this. So that's just a little bit of background for it and why this came about.
So how does everybody feel about our new Y4C2TES?
Two T's.
Why 4?
I think all of you probably know that equity was added to our Y4C2Ts, which is opportunities for all. And that was the very first ILC vote that was unanimous. So I think that is pretty awesome. How did you guys feel about that?
I thought it was a great addition. I mean, obviously it was necessary, and we made it very clear that it's one of our core principles. That's what I love about Y4C2Ts. I fall back on them a lot, because I feel like that's what makes us different than other brokerages, is that commitment to those principles. It's our founding principles. So for that to be included, not included, but highlighted, says a lot about our leadership to me. And to other people that I tell about Y4C2Ts.
So, I mean, I think we are all here because we want to be that catalyst for change. And I think I would love for everyone to start talking about what you guys would like to see the Market Center do and participate out in the community to be that catalyst, start that. So
That was the next question I wanted to bring up off the list is, given the current focus on social equality throughout the nation, what would you like to see our Market Center implement to improve or enhance our community involvement? So yes, we're looking for suggestions.
anybody?
Do we have an example of what other market centers are doing?
So,
I know. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I know some of the other market centers in our region have done, some people are doing a book club, and they started with the book, How to Be Anti-Racist, or How Not to Be, I can't remember the name of the book, I'll give it to you. But they said it's a very hard read for African Americans and others, because it really gets down into, you know, a lot of people don't realize that they may be racist, or they may be saying things that are taken as racist, even though they don't mean it to come out that way. And so this book just kind of breaks it down.
I think that's an excellent
That's not bad.
idea.
Yeah, so and I've had people come to me right after Gary Keller's email came out. I've had people, or even beforehand, actually, within our office, Stephanie being one of the first, they came to me. I was like, I don't know what to say, but can I at least hug you? You know, and that is real, because you know, I don't think that any of us know what to say. I was uncomfortable too, because I was not sure what should I say, what should I do. The first time I came into the office after that, it was like, who do I speak to? Is it okay? You know, it was really awkward, and it shouldn't be. You know, we can break down. I'm sorry if y'all can't hear me, but we can break down that barrier by coming up with some things that we can do within our market centers. So let's break down those walls, break down that barrier. If you're uncomfortable, admit you're uncomfortable. If you don't know what to say, then just admit I don't know what to say. You know, but I want to be here to do something, and we can work with that.
Well, I mean, change starts from within. So, you know, for us to be able to go out into the community, I think it's a perfect place to start from within, to see and to evaluate and to share ideas, because then we know where we all stand together, and that's how we make more impact out in the community, because we're all from the same, coming from within.
So, and another thing other market centers have done is they have done Zoom meetings, virtual meetings, where they brought in speakers, you know, top speakers to come in and talk about racial disparity and how we can bridge the gap and that kind of thing. So those are some of the things that have been done.
And then also getting out into the community, you know, talking, creating more opportunities.
Now, one of the things that I would like to suggest, and I don't know, I haven't run it by Lisa, but I would like to see us do a voter registration drive here in our office.
Yeah.
And that would, of course, have to be within the next couple of weeks, but I think that would be a good thing. That would be a good start, because believe it or not, it's mostly our minority people that are not registered voters. And if we can push that, I think that would be
Yeah. What does everybody feel about that?
Oh, that's a good idea.
One of
Guys, actually, I went out yesterday to vote early at the courthouse, And it was good because we actually went together with my church, about 15 of us, to go vote early and to see how the process worked. And it was actually really easy. And some people had some issues about registration. They weren't registered properly, things like that. But to get that out and to make sure that everybody knows that they register how to vote either in person with the absentee ballot or even early. That would be good because it's a lot of information and it could be very confusing if the information is not put out. So I would really would like to help with that.
Any other suggestions or anything else, any other comments? Anybody? Y'all quiet in this morning.
Well, eating.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have.
Right.
After that.
I'm serving 12.
One of our goals for ALC, this year, last year, I don't remember, was to tell our story more. It's tell the Keller Williams Madison story in particular. And not that I want to make it an ulterior motive, but in any stretch of the means, but I do think that as a brokerage, to tell our story about how we do interact with the community, because I personally, like to be able to share with my clients and just with the community that we are invested in the community. I mean, it's part of our job to sell here, but it's a bigger part of our job to serve here because we are community members as well as, people selling in the area. So I think it really does help kind of give us an overall, a broader picture of who we are as a market center, coming from contributions, falling back on the Whitehall CTTs, so all these things in conjunction show that we are community involved.
What other suggestions do you guys have that y'all would like to see?
If you don't want to say it, you can type it in the chat room.
I was going to say that it may be important to start with maybe a conversation, whether it be through a book club or a speaker or some other source, but maybe a conversation around the idea of implicit bias, and just so that people understand what that is and how they may or may not be being affected by it or exhibiting that without even them realizing it. I personally don't feel a lot can happen or change until people realize the implicit biases that they are holding and that those may be impacting other people. So if we're looking to do something as an office to improve our environment, my thought is a good place to start is for people to at least have an understanding of what that is and how they may or may not be exhibiting it and how, it's impacting others.
I like that.
I think that's a good
Yeah,
one.
I wrote that down. I didn't write all of that down, but I wrote it down. Thank you, Chandra.
Yeah, I think it's very important to try to get people to, okay, I'm gonna use myself as an example, I guess. I know in the past, I've said stuff and stuff like that is not, it's not morally right, and I realize that now, but at the time I didn't really realize it because like where I went to school, pure white people. Like I never went to school with any African Americans or anything like that, and so I just growing up I would say things, and even though I know that I'm not racist, I would still say things that is wrong, and I know now the things I've said, it's offensive, it's wrong, and it just keeps us being held in the past. And I think if we like the book club or something like that, if we get something going to help people understand that the things you're saying is wrong and offensive, and because a lot of people that are still like that, if you said something, the same thing towards them, they're like, oh my goodness, and that they need to stop and realize that what they're saying is wrong. If that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
I think it's the older generation that has a problem, because the younger generation, I don't see having a problem. I have younger kids. They don't have a problem. But the older generation does have a problem. My children see everyone. I mean, they don't have a problem. I have a 23-year-old and an 18. Well, she turned 19 today. They don't have a problem, but the older generation has a problem.
I don't think it's a good thing for us to limit it by generations, because not just racism, but there's other things that is involved in inequity that, you know, it's just, we don't need to limit it to, all right, let's just work with the older generation, not worry about the young kids, because
Well, but I mean, you know.
what I just mean is there's so many avenues now for younger kids to get not educated, whether it is correctly or incorrectly, from social media and everything. And I'm coming from I have a 6-month-old and I'm scared to death for her to ever get a phone or anything, because it's coming from even younger kids at different directions from everywhere. So I don't think that we need to just say it's just this age group. I don't think that's.
I get what she's saying though, because it starts with the older generation, and it's taught now. Like a whole lot of this stuff is taught. It's not the younger generation that's up one day and becoming the way that society is teaching everybody now. But I understand what you're saying. Like you can educate them, and it's a bunch of different ways to educate people on today's society and how to teach social equality. But it starts within the house from where you learn. Because a lot of people got to unlearn a whole lot of stuff that they learned from when they was coming up from their parents.
Right, I agree.
And, sorry, it's bad to say, but we're not too far from that generation of when all that stuff was going. So we still trying to get away from that. So it's I don't want to say it's still new. I mean, this is fairly new, but it kind of, we still dealing with that generation that from that timeline and the generation in between.
Yeah. I don't mean like that's not true or anything. I'm just saying we don't need to leave out that there's other medias and stuff that are feeding into people that, because I agree like both ways. I just don't want to leave a certain generation out because.
I just feel like Chandra's explanation of something specific. I'm a box checker. Like when I think about asking what I can do, I need to like know what it is. Like I can't be like, well, just don't be racist. I'm like, that's not. I gotta have a box. Like I gotta know it has to be a list for me. And if I don't know what's on the list, then how am I supposed to check the list off? You know what I mean? So Chandra's explanation of something very specific that we can all learn and be able to open our hearts and minds to a concept that is obviously, actively happening, helps us to be able to change that, helps us be able to understand it before we can change it. So something specific like that is, kind of where my mind is going to a little bit more.
I was about to say, I understand book club and everything is great. It's a great idea and it's a start. But to me, you're gonna learn a lot about different cultures from dealing with other cultures. Like when we was overseas, we was taught to. We visited other cultures and learned about them from them and not from reading, because reading can only teach you so much. So when you're dealing with that particular person, that particular race or whatnot, you learn a lot more on their issues and why they feel the way they feel, and you begin to talk, and then you become educated that way. And I find that way is more effective than just reading. So we could do something where we could go out into these neighborhoods and deal with these different people, not just Black, but these other cultures also, Mexican, white, and even some of these white people that's racist, and kind of like, just get a little bit from everybody's side.
And I agree with him because when was the last time, just think about it. It's a heart issue. It's not, if you want to, it's in your heart. If you want to go in and, when was the last time you took a meal to somebody that sick? My husband owns a pawn shop. So we deal with all races, okay? So when someone's sick that does business with us, I don't care what race they are, Asian, Muslim. I mean, we have all races. What do? We take food to their house. We go in, we sit down on the sofa, we talk to them. We say, well, what can we do? You know, what can we do? And I mean, you know, at a pawn shop, everybody comes in. You have construction workers, you have people that need to pay their light bill. I mean, everybody comes in. And so you get involved. What can I do? You see, it's not about race. It's about humanity and loving people. And that's where you got to be. And that's a heart thing. That's not a race thing.
Thank you, Regina. I was going to piggyback on what Gina was saying. The reality is there's really not a particular checklist because what is offensive to Rochelle may not be offensive to me, you know, and so it's just getting to know people and just getting to understand the general principle behind racism, inequality, and that kind of thing. When the email came out from Gary Keller, there was a Facebook group that I'm a part of, and there was so much different opinions about how they felt about it. That some people felt he took too long coming out with it. Some people felt that he was too strong. Some, you know, there were so many different opinions. And I told them, I said, regardless of what he did, somebody was not going to be happy. But the fact that he took, I feel like the fact that he took his time to craft the right words to say so as not to be offensive, you know, because you can come out the gate too early and then you can cause more damage. But I feel like he took the time to craft the right words, and it came from his spirit. You could tell when you read it, you feel his spirit, you know. And so, so I'm just saying that to just say that different people are going to feel different ways about things, and sometimes no matter how right you're trying to be, there's always going to be somebody that's going to be offended. You got to be yourself, but just understanding what the barriers are, and you know, understanding the true meaning of racism and inequality.
I think the biggest thing will be kind of what we're doing now, open dialogue. If you don't know, ask, you know, and when someone tells you how they feel, it's not up for you to justify their feelings. You know, I think we as people get so wrapped up and say, well, I think it's minor. I think it's you don't justify how someone feels. If someone says it's offensive and you don't find it offensive, okay, that's on you. But to tell them that, well, it's not that big of a deal, it's kind of that saying of putting yourself in someone else's shoes.
Exactly, very true. Thank you, Joy. And that's very true. You know, if my house is on fire and you live in my neighborhood, you're not going to go and look at my next door neighbor's house and say, well, her house isn't on fire, so what's the big deal? Well, my house is still burning, and so right now I need the attention because my house is burning. And that's the way it is. If you offend somebody, it's not up to you to determine whether, you know, well, nobody else got offended by it. Well, that's okay, but my house is burning. I need you to address it, you know, that kind of thing. So. Any other comments, questions?
I had a suggestion.
Go ahead.
I had a suggestion, and it's kind of off and way out, but I was just thinking, I don't know if any of you have you listen to the StoryCorps stories. Have you, any of you ever listened to the StoryCorps?
StoryCorps?
Like it's StoryCorps.
No,
And what they do, basically just what they do is just interview random people, and they just tell their story. And I think that it would be cool if we were to, I'm sorry that I'm just not all together here. But basically, I'm thinking of our buyers. We have diverse buyers and not buyers, but buyers and sellers, our clients, and perhaps putting our clients in a bucket or something and just choosing one. And then once a week, we capture that person and then put it out on social media and just interview them and interview about their culture, interview how they grew up. and it's just getting to know one person, but so many people resonate with that person's story. And it's not about us, it's about them. They're, maybe, we could just ask about, their home buying process, but also how they grew up and what does that mean to you that you're able to sell your house, or you're able to buy this house, or to invest in, your multifamily properties, but I'll just bring it full circle, and learn more about that person and their culture and what makes them unique or their culture unique. I think that would be something fun, and it would be something that shows that we are out in the community, that we're engaging with people from all backgrounds, because our clients are from everywhere. And there's just so much unique things that we learn as we're taking them through the buying and selling process. I think that would be something fun to do, and also, it would be engaging in the community.
I completely agree with Juliet on that. I've been to a lot of Christian retreats, and the testimonies that we hear are just the most powerful experience I could possibly have.
Thank you. Was there somebody else trying to say something? Okay, I want to throw out at least two more questions for you to address now and to think about, and that is, do you see an immediate need regarding race that our office needs to address? And then would you be interested in joining the Social Equality Committee? So do you see an immediate need? And even if you don't want to say what the need is that you want, but do you see an immediate need regarding race that our office needs to address at this time?
I used them to unlock the door. I was the first one in last night. I used them to unlock the door, and I cannot find them anywhere.
That was his immediate need. He needs to open the door.
Was she talking to us or talking to?
No.
Okay.
I was like, Tim talking to the
Okay, so I was like, I don't think that's us, but I'm just gonna mute that robot.
And one other question, and this isn't for you to answer, well, yes or no would be the answer for now for you to think about, and that is, do you have a personal story on either side? And if so, would you be willing to share it in a safe environment?
I'd like to volunteer for that at some point, and also I'd like to be on the committee or whatever.
And I'm sorry, what is your name?
I'm Johnny Gilmore.
Johnny Gilmore. I heard your name. Nice to meet you, Johnny. There's a couple of faces I see in here that I've seen, but I don't know the name. So.
Hi, this is Jamisa. I would like to join the committee. And I don't personally see any, I have not personally seen any issues that need to be addressed in the office. And I do appreciate that.
That's good. Yes, that's good to know. But there might be some that do, and that's okay too. But thank you, Teresa, for sharing.
I would like to join the committee as well.
And I have a story or two that I would like to share, not today, but there are one or two stories that I would share at a later time.
So, let's get a hand of who all would like to be a part of the task force. And then maybe from there, April, go what the one thing is.
Okay.
And all these are great ideas and implement them, but we all know with the one thing,
Right.
there's one thing that whatever everybody wants.
So let's go with those who are on the Zoom first. Is there anybody else on the Zoom? I have Jamisha and Joy that would like to join the committee. Okay. I see your chat.
Lisa Kennedy.
Lisa Kennedy. There's so many Lisas. How do we join and when do we meet? You're joining now by saying you're interested in joining, and we will set up our meetings. Our meeting's going to be in conjunction with the ALC's meeting.
It's with the other committee meetings.
Yeah, so they'll be in conjunction with the other committee meetings, and we'll get that information to you. I don't have the exact dates and times yet.
Corinne.
I got her. Yeah, I saw her. Anybody else on the Zoom? Okay, anybody in the room? What's your name?
Shannon.
Shannon? Hi,
I'll-
Shannon.
If you are where you can't respond, like if you're driving or something, we'll post something also.
You ready?
Juliet said yes, just raised her hand.
April, this is where you're just like planning things and I mean, or.
Right, so it's something like that,
Yeah,
maybe
so
for-
that everyone can participate in whatever y'all.
Yeah, everyone can participate in the committee meet, you know, the task force meetings at any time.
I got Johnny already. Anybody else? What's your name, Crystal? Crystal. What's the last name, Crystal?
Hernandez.
Is that Crystal with a K or a C?
Let's see. Did you get Julia?
Yes, I did. And what's your name?
Kevin.
Kevin?
Yes.
Kevin. Kevin.
And I'm pretty sure Chandra had told me, she said she had to jump off.
She did tell me.
Regina Campbell.
Regina Campbell's hands up.
I like these little hand raises. That's so nifty.
And I want to tell you, I appreciate that so many of you all turned out. I really, really do. That speaks volumes about our market center and your desire to make sure that we're, you know, all on the same path. I appreciate that. That says a lot. Anybody else? Well, we'll shut it down. Shut it down. Now you can reach out to me, Stephanie or Lisa, if you're thinking about it and you're not sure yet, and then let us know that you're interested.
They can join at any time.
Yeah, you can join at any time. Doesn't have to.
So everybody that has decided to join the committee, if you guys want to come up with the one thing and the next actions to take before the next committee or task force meeting.
How often are the meetings? Are they monthly or?
They're once a month. They're usually the Wednesday in between the team meetings. Our team meetings are every other Wednesday. So it's usually the one that's in the middle of.
But it absolutely is up to the committee to meet as many times. I mean, it's.
Yeah, that's what we call the
it's up-
committee day, but y'all can meet twice.
There is
if y'all
one
want to.
committee, you know, committee day where all the committees meet.
Right.
And, but outside of that, you can absolutely do whatever the committee.
We probably meet more often at first to make sure that we get going to it. Yeah. So what
There's some things we have done in our community, and I'll just throw this out to you to help with some barriers. And this has been because I own department management company. We have done block parties in some of the lower income communities. And this went in Hispanic, Black communities, African American, and this was an Easter thing my husband and I did. We partnered with a church. We did a huge Easter egg hunt. This was in Madison off of Wall Triana over on Carmine. Carmine, Michael. We did this about 3 years ago. And then also in the Decatur area off of Moulton Street, West Moulton. We gave turkeys out last year at Christmas time. We partnered with a grocery store, at my husband's pawn shop. Everyone that came in got a free turkey in that neighborhood over there because we had I think it was last year around, no, it might've been Thanksgiving, because it was when the tornado hit. Remember when everybody's power was out? We took that on, and that gave us time for everybody. And we did a hot dog. We had my kids went and they grilled hot dogs. Those are some things to think about. That gave people time to just stand around, eat a hot dog, laugh and cut up, talk about their life. And I made lots of friends those days. And you're giving away something that a grocery store is partner with you. It doesn't cost you a lot of money. Keller Williams could do things like that in communities. So that's something to think about.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that, Regina. Joy, did you have something else?
No, I was just saying that those sound like some great ideas.
Yeah, so we'll narrow down and hone in on some of the ideas more when we have our committee meeting. So that's pretty much it for me, I think, Lisa.
So, okay, so I heard lots of ideas of what everybody wanted to do. So I think it's very important before the next meeting that everyone has that one thing I heard the book club. I feel like a lot of change can start with education. I heard the get out and do the vote, which you can do that too, but I think it's important. I heard, getting out to the community and serving the community, doing the story cards, So what is the one thing you want to do first? You want to do first? Start.
Probably voter registration thing,
Yeah.
because it's coming up.
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Time sensitive, yeah.
I would like, and I agree, the voter registration because it's timely, but I would like to also have something else, office specific, something that we all can be a part of as well. That the education part, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay.
That let's start
I think
something.
a speaker,
Let's do
is
something.
probably. for
Maybe
me,
some type of ethnic training within the company.
We're coming up on holidays pretty soon, so book club for me is probably like, it's a little bit too much to say. I'm gonna just be honest. I'm already had trouble as it is.
Already in one book club.
Don't make it bad, do it, Joe. But yeah, speaker is immediate, something we can set up right away. Kind of go to the story idea. We can hear some stories. I think embedded into something like that. It's a certain amount of time, and we can schedule it, and we can do Zoom and in the office too. Just putting that out there.
Okay.
What if we did something like a family reunion at the market center level where we invited everybody and did like the park, and everybody gets together, we have games that are associated with getting to know one another and, kind of, if we can come together as a market center and all be on the same page for the same goal and get everybody,
And that's kind of what my idea with the having the checklist in mind was the one thing, to be able to focus together, we need one thing to agree upon, and that's a good idea to bring everybody together.
and if you could do games that are associated with, asking each other questions that, help you get to know someone and
Okay, so outside of the voter registration, we're gonna work on the voter registration, and I already have connections, so I can make that happen, in a short amount of time. That's not a problem. What is going to be our one thing I'm hearing, something like a family reunion or something for our office to come together just to get to know each other. And then I heard bringing in a speaker to start the education process. So where do we want to start?
I think a good start would probably do, everybody coming together and, that way you can get people interaction first. And then
more people
It's
involved.
more interactive, yeah.
Yeah, if we're gonna do it outside, we got to be doing that fast too, because it's getting
Well,
cold.
hopefully for a little while, if the weather's nice.
So, okay, so then I'll get the committee together and we will work on the voter registration and we will work on the family reunion idea. Those will be on.
Is everybody on board on Zoom for that?
Did y'all-
Yes. Awesome.
Sounds great.
Okay. Well, Lisa, that's it.
Okay.
I feel like we've made progress.
Yay. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'm so happy to see everybody. I'm ready just so everybody come back.
Right. Thank you all, everybody. Thank you all. for
Thank you
coming.
very much.
For your input.
Y'all make it a great day.
Thank you. You too.